along the streets while waiting for the flood to subside inside their homes.
Isus ko noy, hanggang digi sa baywang ang tubig. Magdamag kami, hindi kami natulog. Wala kayong magagawa, lahat ng namin gamit basa lahat.
Some of them said they did not expect the typhoon to trigger this much flooding.
Akala namin hangin lang, walang ulan na kasama. Tapos ngayon, nadatnan ninyo kami, medyo umaapaw pa din sa baha.
Typhoon Quinta also did not spare business establishments in Albay like this hotel. A minor landslide also reportedly took place along the Manito-Legazpi road. Meanwhile, some workers who were stranded at their workplace braved the knee-deep flood earlier today.
Doon na rin kami nagpalipas ng bagyo kasi di na rin makalabas, sobrang lakas ng hangin kagabi. Baha pa po.
Displaced residents have also started to troop back to their homes while the local government assesses the damage of Quinta. Albay Governor Al Francis Bichara said the damage is estimated to be the biggest on the agricultural sector.
Dapat ani nila yung alay by November. And yun, tinamaan ng bagyo. Minor lang naman yung mga infrastructure.
Classes and work across the province have been suspended on Monday to allow residents to repair their damaged houses. For News 5. Robbie, floodwaters in affected barangays have already subsided, while power supply in most parts of the city has also been restored. Robbie?
Maraming salamat, Marlene Alcaide, reporting live in Legazpi. Typhoon Quinta also ravaged other parts of Luzon. In Lopez, Quezon, evacuees have started to return home, but several households are still experiencing power outages. Floods and small landslides were reported in some barangays. Meanwhile, almost all 25 barangays in Macabebe, Pampanga have been submerged in flood. Some residents, though, still visited departed loved ones at the cemetery. Floodwaters also inundated parts of Laguna as the river in Barangay Bayete and Liliw continues to rise. Evacuation efforts in the province are ongoing. In Bawan, Batangas, one person went missing while the 7 other crew members of MV Oceanic Explorer were rescued. The Philippine Coast Guard said the yacht submerged at around 7 a.m. today due to bad weather. Search and rescue operations, meanwhile, are ongoing for 12 fishermen who went missing in Catanduanes. As for the Ipo Dam, water level is still above normal despite having discharged more water this morning. As of 6 a.m., water level slightly went down to 101.23 meters above the normal level of 101 meters. In Metro Manila, piles of garbage were seen at the white sand area of Manila Bay. Workers are now cleaning up the debris washed ashore by strong winds brought on by the typhoon. And Typhoon Quinta slightly intensified over the West Philippine Sea as it exited the Philippine area of responsibility. As of 4 p.m., the typhoon was located 310 kilometers west of Calapan City in Oriental Mindoro. It's packing winds still of up to 130 kilometers per hour near the center, plus gusts of up to 160 kilometers per hour. Quinta, in the meanwhile, is still moving westward with a speed of 25 kilometers per hour. It will exit the Philippine area of responsibility Tuesday morning. It should make landfall over Vietnam by Wednesday. Tropical cyclone warning signal number 1 is currently raised over Batangas, Occidental Mindoro, including Lubang Island, Oriental Mindoro, Calamian Islands, and the extreme northern portion of Antique. Pag-asa is monitoring another brewing storm outside Par at 2,000 kilometers east of southern Dizon. The low-pressure area is seen to enter the Philippine area of responsibility by Wednesday or Thursday, but it has a low chance of becoming a storm over the next 24 hours. With Typhoon Quinta expected to show no signs of abating prior to exiting the Philippine area of responsibility, let's get the latest update in one province that's been battered up north. Romel Lopez is reporting live in Cagayan. Romel, tell us, kamusta dyan?
Yes, Robbie, it's like a double whammy for our kababayans here in Cagayan after being battered by Typhoon Pipito. Last week, they are now bracing for the possible impact or effects of Typhoon Quinta. William Torino, a rice farmer in Pamplona, Cagayan, can only look at his rice field now submerged in flood. His only means of livelihood gone to waste.
Masira. Yung nakaano sa tubig, wala na.
Suffering the same fate are rice fields in 6 other towns, particularly those in northern Cagayan. This is after Cagayan's river's tributaries overflowed when Typhoon Pipito hit Friday, followed by a frontal system over the weekend. Around 20 landslides were recorded with debris blocking main roads in the area. It was only this morning that a section of the national road leading to Ilocos Norte became possible to light vehicles.
Yung mga kanal namin diyan, nasaraduhan na, kaya yung tubig pumasok na sa ilalim. Tapos yung malalaking bato natibag diyan, kaya nahulog na rin yung kalsada po. Light vehicle lang po ang ina-allowed namin muna kasi delikado, nag-cave in na kasi, nakahang na kasi itong kalsada namin.
More than 5,000 individuals took shelter in evacuation areas, with some still unable to return home due to flooding in their villages. Areas like Laberia use water pumps to sip out flood water from residential areas. But some residents are still fearful, especially with Magat Dam continuing to expel water. But government officials assures that Magat Dam's activities will not affect the northern part of the province. What worries them is Typhoon Quinta's impact on neighboring provinces, as Cagayan is a catch basin of the highlands.
Part of Cordillera and Sierra Madre sa southern portion, ang tubig niyan dito pa rin sa aming bababa. Kaya palagi kami naka-red alert, no? As far as flooding of our human settlements along the Cagayan River.
Governor Mamba also attributes the worsening flooding to illegal logging. Some residents, in fact, were gathering logs to be sold as firewoods.
May mga uprooted trees because nakita naman natin, no, denuded na yung mga forest natin. So pagdating ng tubig, talagang bababa siya. No? And it is happening regularly, yung mga ganyan sa amin. No? And part of that also is illegal logging.
The estimate cost of infrastructure damage in Cagayan is now at 145 million pesos. This is the result of several landslides and flooding affecting bridges and thoroughfares. Robbie, as Typhoon Quinta continues to linger here in Cagayan, all government agencies are on red alert and on standby, especially now that light to moderate rains is being experienced in this part of the province. Massive flooding is still a major threat here in Cagayan, especially those in the low-lying areas. Robbie?
Maraming salamat, Romel Lopez. In the meantime, we'll go for a quick break. When the big story returns, state insurer PhilHealth still has not paid its unsettled dues with the Philippine Red Cross. The organization warns of going bankrupt. And an earlier ban on chicken meat from Brazil could spell trouble for the Philippines. Find out why when we return. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. The Philippine Red Cross is warning it could go bankrupt should PhilHealth fail to settle its mounting debt. What might this mean for OFWs benefiting from PhilHealth charged tests? Meanos Baños tells us.
Philippine Red Cross Chairman Senator Richard Gordon said PhilHealth has not made any move yet to settle its 1.1 billion peso debt. According to Gordon, the PRC, which is running out of test kits, needs the money to procure its supply from a Chinese company. He explained that they will have to cancel a chartered flight because up to 8 billion pesos is needed for all the services. The senator berated the health insurer, saying it is reckless and has been in violation of the terms under their contract. The PRC chairman added that PhilHealth officials should be ashamed of themselves for betraying the vulnerable Filipino people. Meanwhile, the Justice Department ruled that PhilHealth has the authority to forge contracts with private healthcare institutions. But with regard to the advance payment made by the agency to the PRC months ago, the DOJ said it requires the approval of President Duterte.
Sabi po ng Secretary of Justice ng DOJ, with respect to the advance cash payment of 100 million pesos, the advance cash payment requires approval of the President of the Philippines. It is not clear from the documents submitted to us whether such authority had been obtained.
But the DOJ declined to comment if the PhilHealth is legally obligated for the bills incurred by the PRC in COVID-19 testing. While there is no clear agreement yet as to whether the PhilHealth and Philippine Red Cross contract on COVID-19 testing will continue, the Department of Health is now coordinating with 8 private laboratories to assist in the testing of OFWs and returning Filipinos to prevent further delays. For Surigao Representative Robert Barbers, PhilHealth is not obligated to pay the PRC due to lack of legal basis.
As it seems, no, walang basihan eh. Remember, ang pera ng PhilHealth ay public funds. At hindi pwedeng gamitin yan basta-basta without appropriation or without any contract for that matter, no?
The lawmaker also believes that the non-payment of overdue balance will not lead to the bankruptcy of the PRC. Reporting for News 5, Bean Los Baños, we are One News.
Malacanang says a vaccine czar was appointed as early as 2 months ago, but they have yet to make the announcement pending President Rodrigo Duterte's reiteration of the appointment. Palace spokesman Harry Roque said the czar will spearhead the importation of the vaccine. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said the DOH supports the move but also expressed the agency's readiness to take charge of mass inoculation.
Nakita po natin kung paano natin mas napabilis at na-facilitate ang mga ginagawa because there was this specific person overseeing and providing this guidance.
The DOH expects the World Health Organization to announce within the week the sites for its Solidarity Trial where the Philippines is a participant. Tests are scheduled to begin in December. The department is also waiting on Sanofi's advice regarding South Korea's anti-flu vaccine, Vaxigrip Tetra, after 48 reportedly died from shots. The Philippine Foundation for Vaccination said that vaccine hesitancy remains high in the country. The agency doubts that a vaccine will be readily available by next year.
We should live with this virus for at least 1 or 2 years more. Kasi sabi nga natin, matagal bago matapos ang mga bakuna. Kung ikaw ay magkakaroon ng bakuna dito sa Pilipinas, ang tinitingnan nga natin, ina-anticipate natin baka next year hindi pa tayo makakuha ng tamang bakuna na gusto nating ibigay sa mga Pilipino. Hindi pa tayo magkakaroon agad-agad ng bakuna kung ang kukunin natin ay yung talagang pinaka-safe na dumaan sa magandang pag-aaral, di ba?
And these are the other big stories today. Gabriela Partiles is studying to file charges against Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. for supposedly spreading lies against the bloc. Speaking to One News Agenda, Gabriela Representative Arlene Rosa said her party list and the Makabayan bloc's actions are legal. Meanwhile, citing Parlade's alleged red tagging, members of the Bagong Alliance ng Makabayan are asking the Supreme Court to issue a preliminary injunction against the implementation of the anti-terror law. They said the law's IRR paved the way for the targeting of activists and government critics. Consumers are calling on the Energy Regulatory Commission to issue a moratorium on bill shock payments. With the October 31 deadline just days away, the Power for People Coalition is pushing the ERC to issue a ruling guaranteeing no disconnections until the end of the year as consumers pay their remaining dues in staggered amounts amid the pandemic. The power regulator previously vowed to issue an advisory extending the no disconnection policy until December 31. The Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, or PACC, will submit a report to President Duterte detailing which lawmakers they say are involved in the so-called corruption in the DPWH. But according to Surigao del Norte Representative Ace Barbers, doing so would be going beyond the agency's mandate. While Barbers welcomes any such initiative from the PACC, he said it may be best if the commission refrains from making the list public since they only cover executive appointees. Barber said the House Speaker may opt to file a resolution investigating such claims of corruption involving representatives. The Agriculture Department is looking to file charges against traders behind high pork prices, but the DA itself could soon be facing complaints from local producers and even Brazil. Why is that? Shiloh Francisco explains.
Brazil is now looking to raise before the World Trade Organization its trade concerns against the Philippines for its failure to lift the ban on poultry imports. In its letter to the Foreign Affairs Department, the Embassy of Brazil noted that only the Philippines banned Brazilian products due to the pandemic. They said the move lacked scientific basis, which defies some provisions of the WTO agreement. Brazil added that clarification sent to the Philippines should be enough to lift the ban. Earlier this year, the Agriculture Department halted poultry imports from Brazil after samples of their chicken wings shipped to China tested positive for COVID-19. Just last month, the DA lifted the ban on mechanically deboned meat imports from Brazil, subject to additional requirements. Instead of a blanket ban, the Meat Importers and Traders Association advised the DA to ban specific meat processing plants in Brazil that have COVID infection. They warned that an escalation of the issue might affect other imports from the country like beef. Traders currently source chicken meat from other countries at higher prices.
If they are not allowed to raise the prices of their products in the supermarkets or retail, then they will have to absorb the increased cost. Some probably can do that. Some maybe not be in a good position to absorb those costs. But eventually, somewhere along the way, somewhere in the future, prices will have to go up.
The DA has yet to totally lift the ban as it awaits a report on the rate of COVID infection in meat sources. It welcomes the challenge from Brazil, but says their focus now is finishing this week's investigation on higher pork prices. Pork in wet markets now go as high as 360 pesos a kilo. The DA says traders could be holding off supply to artificially jack up prices.
Corresponding charges will be filed. There is tightness in the supply, but there is enough pork inventory yet to handle the supply.
The Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG doubts there is a cartel, saying supply in Luzon is tight due to the African swine fever. They want the DA to bring in more supply from Visayas and Mindanao. But the DA is now eyeing to suspend transport carriers from between the islands to curb the spread of ASF. For SINAG, this could worsen the problem, even pushing prices to 450 pesos a kilo.
Nag-subsidize ba sila ng presyo para mag-ship dito sa Luzon? Pagdating dito, dapat mabilis ship out. Ibig sabihin, walang abala na nangyayari.
SINAG says the non-implementation of the Quarantine First policy may also be behind the spread of ASF. Under the Food Safety Act, the DA and the DOH are mandated to examine all imported food at inspection facilities. 2 billion pesos was allocated for its construction, but none has been set up in the past 7 years, says SINAG. The group threatens to file charges against the DA if it fails to implement the policy in the next 30 days. The DA says it is still waiting for the Philippine Ports Authority to approve the memorandum of agreement that would start the construction of the facility. Shiloh Francisco, VR1 News.
Let's pause for a quick break. When the big story returns, car owners, have you had your vehicles installed with RFIDs? If not, prepare for long lines. But there might be some reprieve for you. We'll find out next. And would you like to call someone on the moon? That might not be too far off as Nokia builds a cell site on the satellite. The details next. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. Motorists are racing against time to claim their RFIDs as tollways are set to fully implement cashless transactions by November 2. But what if you don't meet the deadline? Gerard de la Peña tells us what will happen.
Traffic was barely moving around Quezon Memorial Circle on Monday morning. Motorists rushed to the area after NLEX Corporation announced that it would distribute RFID stickers there. Physical distancing protocols were breached due to miscommunication.
Walang coordination dun sa Quezon City Government, no? Sa halimbawa yung gwardiya hindi alam. Nagulat na lang daw sila.
The Transportation Department set a November 2 deadline for the strict implementation of cashless transactions in all tollways. Vehicle owners only have 1 week left to have their RFIDs installed.
Medyo busy lang. Dito lang rin naman yung ko. Kung may kung special occasions lang kasi born and raised naman ako dito, so ayun.
So bihira rin talaga.
Bihira rin talaga.
It is unlikely that the DOTR will extend the deadline so that more motorists can catch up. But toll operators said they will still continue distributing RFID stickers beyond November 2. San Miguel Corporation, which operates SLEX, ACTEX, Star Tollway, Naya Expressway, and T-Plex, will distribute RFID stickers until end November. Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation, which runs NLEX, SCTEX, Cavitex, and Calax, has assured motorists that they have enough RFID stickers until the year end.
We've been saying in the past, kumuha na kayo para para maiwasan sana yung ganyan. Kasi hindi mo naman din pwedeng iasa lahat sa gobyerno, sa toll operators na magkaroon sila. Kailangan talaga ng kooperasyon ng motorista eh.
To date, over 3 million motorists have availed of the free RFID stickers. Around 5,000 more are expected to claim theirs.
Kung hindi naman kayo babiyahe, maghintay na lang kayo next week or next month or December. Pareho lang naman. In other words, wala naman kayong planong magbiyahe sa Udas, okay lang. Relax lang, just wait for the installation schedule. It's on our Facebook site.
About 60% of motorists passing through expressways are already using their RFIDs to pay for toll fees. Toll operators have also added off-site stations to prevent crowding at toll plazas. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Tourism Secretary Bernard Romulo Puyat has ordered the Philippine Retirement Authority to research the benchmark retiring age in other countries as part of ongoing reviews on the agency's policies to issue retiree visas. The PRA was questioned by lawmakers for allowing foreigners as young as 35 years old to retire in the Philippines, most of which are Chinese nationals. On One News agenda, Puyat said she has ordered to suspend the issuance of the Special Retirement Residence Visa or SRRV pending review of the agency's policies. The tourism chief also called for amendments to PRA's policy since the current retiree age of 35 was set decades ago in 1993.
Though there are other countries talaga na below 50, they accept retirees, but I want to see how it is in Asia and in the other countries. So we will be meeting first week of November. I gave them 2 weeks to benchmark yung retiree age based on other countries. What are the qualifications?
In sports, the PBA bubble in Clark, Pampanga resumes after a player who initially tested positive for COVID-19 eventually tested negative. In an interview with One News Agenda, Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon said the bubble remains safe and intact. Close contacts plus the referee, who was also reportedly positive for the virus, all now have negative test results.
Wala pong breach sa bubble. It continues to be safe. At makakaasa po ang ating coaches and players and lahat po ng nasa loob ng PBA bubble.
And making his comeback in the league tonight is the Beast, Calvin Abueva. After being banned on the hard court for more than a year for unruly behavior, Abueva finally gets to reunite with the Phoenix Fuel Masters. Tonight, they're currently taking on NLEX Road Warriors, which was originally scheduled for 4 p.m. but was postponed as a preventive measure. The Fuel Masters are leading the game in the third quarter at 86-85. The United States' two presidential candidates are on their final days of campaigning as the November 3 election draws near. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden turned to his hometown Pennsylvania on Saturday as he attempted to widen a narrowing lead over Trump in the state. Biden, speaking at a drive-in rally in Philadelphia, challenged voters to be more discerning. He also took a swipe at U.S. President Trump's alleged tax avoidance case.
Frankly, I've dealt with guys like Trump my whole life, so have many of you. Guys who look down on you because they have a lot of money. Guys who afford paying their taxes because he's smart. He knows how to game the system. Isn't that just the guy you want setting tax policy?
In his Wisconsin rally, Trump once again downplayed the surge in COVID-19 cases across the United States. He insists the high case count is due to them having, quote, the greatest testing in the world. This is a move, he said, that has allowed the U.S. economy to recover.
It's a choice between a Trump boom and a Biden lockdown. He wants to lock it down. He was saying the other night, we're not locking anything down. We understand this disease. We're going to take care of our seniors and people that are really susceptible.
Making calls to the moon might not be a distant reality after all. Nokia is off to Earth's satellite to build the first cellular network there. NASA picked the Finnish telco firm to install a wireless broadband system on the moon by 2022. The space agency is planning to return humans to the moon by 2024 and then dig in for a long-term presence there under its Artemis program. Nokia will partner with Texas-based design company Intuitive Machines to deliver its equipment to the moon. The 4G network will set itself up automatically upon delivery. With this, astronauts will have voice and video communication capabilities. They will also be able to remotely control lunar rovers and other robotic devices. And that wraps up today's big story. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News. Good evening.
Okay.
Ganun, parehong epekto nun eh.
Tapos na po yung TBS.